is the language we use with children makes a lasting impact on their development. So we're going to look at exploring how we can enhance and support children's language and development through the language we use with them. Okay, so I'm going to look at praise and the good boy, girl research. So I think it comes to second nature for many of us just to say, good boy, good girl, or like whenever we see them doing anything good. Like I use it all the time and it's something that's really hard for me to retrain my brain. But when we say good boy, good girl, we take away from a lot of learning that they can be getting out for themselves. So in a long-term study carried out by Stanford and Chicago Universities in 2013, results found that children develop a greater preparedness for future challenges when their educators celebrate their efforts instead of their innate qualities. So basically that means when we talk about praise, when it comes, becomes a second nature for most of us, but this is no proven damage, so it's not a bad thing if you just do say it because, it's so easy to say. But there are better ways we can enhance learning. So instead, what we want to do is we want to praise children for what they do and not who they are. So 5 years later, the children who were praised more for what they did than who they were ended up being more equipped to take on challenges. They were also able to come up with more strategies for dealing with setbacks and indicated that they welcome challenges over simple tasks. So it's a simple little thing, but it's really hard to change. So instead of saying good boy or good girl, I thought maybe we could just workshop a few different ways that we could say something else instead that would encourage their learning. So I've got a couple of different scenarios, and if anyone wants to help chime in. So for the first one, a child responds with the correct answer during the weekly circle time. Instead of saying good boy or good girl, what's something that you could say? So it's the question time when they answer a question that you give about one of the health things.
Try harder.
Try harder. No, but it's correct, so they've done really well. So you're not going to say, good boy, Johnny. What are you going to say?
Great memory.
Great memory, yeah, good. Anything else?
Spot on.
What's that?
Spot on.
Spot on, excellent. Yeah, so not using the good boy, good girl. Another one, fantastic answer, John. That's exactly what I was thinking. So just taking it away from that gendered word and then putting in what they're actually doing, the action. Another one is a child achieves a new gross motor skill. So what might you say when you see them able to kick the ball into the goal?
That's great.
That's great. I think you can elaborate a little bit more than that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Nice kick. Cool.
Yeah.
Or,
Good swing.
yeah.
Good forcefulness on the ball. Like,
Yeah.
are you talking about the actual?
That they've achieved a new goal.
Oh, a new goal.
So maybe they haven't. It's something that they've gotten better at.
It's a new skill.
So what
Good
we
job.
can say.
Good
I don't
boy.
feel like you're comprehending it.
So are you trying to take away the point of the identity to
Yeah.
the point of the actual action that's been happening, the skill that they've just...
Yeah, we're taking it away from the individual and we're moving it onto the action that they've done. So they've achieved a new goal, like a new skill. So what are we going? You could say to them.
Actually watched the ball today.
Yeah. I mean that's great. I can see you've really improved from last week. And look, you can actually hit the ball into the goal now.
It hit the ball this week.
Yeah. So, wow, Susie, you worked so hard and now you can do it. A child follows the instructions you gave. So maybe they're not the best listeners and you hear them that they actually follow through with the instruction and they're doing something correctly.
Wow, great listening.
I'm so proud of you listening. Yeah, beautiful. So yeah, anything kind of positive. So you're trying to look at anything positive that you can say about the action that they're doing.
Is it similar how you're talking about like before saying like naughty is a bad word?
I'll get to that.
Oh, sorry.
So we're just looking for positive ways of talking to them and identifying the action and not the individual.
Yeah.
So what great listening ears you have. A child assists or encourages a peer. So they see one of their friends doing really well and say, good on you, Jimmy. What might you say to great teamwork? Yeah, great teamwork. I love how you were so kind to your friends. So just thinking of different things that you can say to acknowledge that you see them. And language and behaviour guidance. So this is getting to the whole naughty word and everything like that. So research indicates, Edith Jane Blair, research indicates that quality learning environments and sensitive, nurturing adults are essential for achieving positive learning outcomes for children. So putting this research into practice, when we're thinking about behaviour guidance and the naughty children and things like that, we are not coming from a disciplinarian approach. That's just not what we do in early childhood. We believe in a positive outcomes-based approach to supporting children's behaviour. So the first point I've got is a positive, inclusive and active approach. So this means consider the reasons for the child's behaviour. So maybe, they're acting up, they're causing a disruption, they're making you frustrated and it's really hard to manage the class. You need to think, okay, why? What's the problem here? So you might want to go and speak to the educators before and find out if there's any children that are having any changes at the moment at home or behavioural issues with them. Are they using any strategies that you can employ? So it's just trying to get a full overall picture of the child and not labelling the child as that behaviour. So we're trying to work out, because the child isn't the behaviour, and that's the thing, we're trying to separate behaviour from the child. They're learning, and we're here to help support that learning. And we want them to find that learning on their own, but we're just there to help support that, if that makes sense. Be proactive, ask educators for strategies to support the child. If you find it's really hard, ask for an extra educator to come out and support. You might need more. They know their children so well, and they will often know if there's a child that will be needing extra support. They will often do it, but just be vocal, talk to them about it. And then overall aim is for children to learn how to manage and regulate their own feelings and behaviours. For what you can do then, when you're talking to them about their behaviours that's going on. So we're not looking at in a dictator kind of disciplinarian kind of way. You want to talk to them and just acknowledge how they're feeling and get them to sit and think about what's going on, with all the feelings they have going on at the moment. So here's a few different scenarios of how we can kind of guide each child's behaviour. So the first one is you have one child who repeatedly has not listened and continues to disrupt and draw the group's attention away from you. So how do you guide this child's behaviour when we want to consider the language, the external factors and strategies to support the child? So what kind of things would you do to guide the behaviour? Anything.
I actually involve them more if they're disruptive.
Yeah.
I involve them closer to me. So
Yeah.
if they need to, if we're reading a story and they're disrupting storytelling,
Yeah.
I get them to hold the paper up. So can you help me out by holding this?
Yeah.
And then they'll be doing a great job for me.
Yes.
Really helpful.
So that's great for redirection.
Yeah,
You're redirecting their attention in a way which is really age appropriate for this age, because they don't understand a lot of the time and their attention span's not there. So it's really good to quickly redirect. And also they like the opportunity to feel like they're important and they're involved in growth, and you singled them out as someone that's really great to stand up in front of the class. So that's a really good strategy you can use. Language. So when you talk to them, maybe sit down with them and say, hey, do you want to go sit down on a pillow and think about how you're feeling right now, and then come back when you're ready, because right now all the other kids are getting a bit silly too. So just get them to go and reflect. We're trying to get them to regulate their emotions. So
Using the word silly, is that okay?
probably not, but I mean, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm just asking. What's the words
silly
we
is
can't
not
use?
silly. You can get away with. So naughty.
And as long as you're not calling the person silly, you're a silly boy, Mitchell.
Yeah, you can say there's silly behaviour going on right now.
Yeah, there's silly behaviour going on.
Yeah. So you're not labelling the child as silly.
Unbreak-it-like behaviour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess if you want to look at the words you can and can't use, so can't, we try to look at positive words. So instead of saying don't do that, you can't do that, we say how about we do this instead. So using the redirection and just using your language, which isn't going to be in a negative way, but in a positive way. So shifting a few little words, which takes practice. Took me years to get my head around it, but now it's second nature. So it's just thinking about how you say things before you say them and the effect that they can have on the child. So just turning everything into a positive way for them to reflect on what you're trying to get across to them. So naughty we don't say in early learning because children go on to believe that they are naughty, and we're trying to separate that. So if they're being disruptive, find out what's going on and what strategies are being used by educators. Apply those those strategies, and just support the child on you. If they're just going to be continuing to upset the class, there's further things that you can do. But that's trying to promote as much positivity. You have one child who is highly emotional and refuses to join in the group session. What do you do with that situation? Anyone? If the child's crying and they're like, I don't want to do it, and they're screaming and causing a fuss, and
Just hold their hand.
yeah, you can. But what if they chuck their hand away and they're like, go away or whatever.
Some of the educators.
Yeah. So you can ask the educators. Yeah. Anything else? Yes.
I just generally tell them just, okay, watch the other guys for a few minutes.
Yeah.
If you want to join in, you can.
Yeah.
Like I'll ask the educators for something on something.
Yeah.
But I'll always say to them, you can watch and see if you want to join in, and I'll encourage them. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's great. I think, perfect. So it's all of those kind of things. And then again, talking to the educators, there's something going on at home. Is there might be there's a new baby, so they're a bit more clingy than usual, or there's so many different reasons. Maybe they had a bad night's sleep. Different changes affect their emotional state so much. So it's really trying to be supportive of the child and not think of it as like, oh, they're crying and screaming, they're really annoying, I want them to go away, kind of thing. Even though you can think that, but how can you support them? So that's, sorry, you have one child that repeatedly hits and harms other children. So what's your general?
With hitting,
Yeah.
I'm pretty strict with hitting. I kind of hit something. I'm like, time out.
Yeah.
Like you
Well,
miss out.
I wouldn't
Well,
say
I would say-
specifically time out.
I would
You don't
say,
do that.
yeah, but I would say you're missing out on the activity.
Yeah.
And then I would get the educator involved and get them to have words with them, sit down and have a moment, and then so they know what I was in trouble for as well.
Yeah.
Not in trouble,
So
but
that's the reflection part. So talk to them, don't yell at them, say, hey, you're really upsetting me, how you're hurting your friends, it's making me really sad. Use your words, the emotional words, to get across how you're feeling, how it's made you feel, and the other child who's been hurt. So really communicate the feelings. I can see that you're frustrated and you're angry and you're doing this right now. Maybe you need to go and sit down and take a few minutes, take a few deep breaths with your teacher over there, and then come back when you think you're ready to join in with everyone else. So it's just thinking about the approaches that you take to supporting the children, and I think just having a more holistic view of the child rather than just trying to make everyone do the class. I think that's
even
if they do something like attacking on the child, spitting on the child, which happens in my class.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I usually ask them if they like that happen to them.
Yeah.
And the answer is usually no.
Yeah.
And then say, well, then maybe we shouldn't do that to our friends. Because, we all want to be friends here.
Yeah.
And it's not very nice to hurt our friends.
Yeah.
And you don't like being hurt. So let's really.
And then they have time to think and reflect about it. Even if they don't reflect about it then, they'll reflect about it later. So it's really good just to, if you start doing these things with them now, they become good habits for them, for their own development. So, that's just my top tips for the term. I hope that was helpful.
thank you, Alex.